What is up? This is Camera Talk. I am on the move right now, but I decided I would bang one of these out while I'm on the way to go ride with the OSS crew. So first off, I want to thank you guys all for watching vibes. Numbers wise, okay, but you guys all gave me a lot of thumbs up. Thank you for those. Gave me a lot of positive comments. Thank you for those. I like making good content for y'all. I enjoy the fact that you guys appreciate what I'm putting effort into making for you, and I want to make more. So what are we going to talk about today on Camera Talk? I was thinking about delving into the topic of different gear setups for different budgets. I feel like that's something that I'm asked very frequently, is what camera should I get for X amount of money or Y amount of money, whatever. So I'm going to try and briefly cover what I feel like are some of the best options for cameras between the ranges of like 300 to like, say, let's say $2,000. Anything above that, maybe we'll save for a different video. But so within that spectrum, I'll try and provide you a couple of different options depending on what your tastes are, or what you're actually trying to do with filmmaking, or just, you know, photo stuff in general. I mean, I feel like honestly, even when you're like buying camera gear, it's just as difficult to make a decision for what you're gonna buy for $300 as it is for what you're gonna buy for, you know, like $2,000 or $5,000. Like, no matter what, it's pretty stressful to try and decide what camera you want. So I understand where a lot of you guys are coming from with these questions. You know, like, I've been there in the spot where you're researching for weeks trying to decide what to buy, and you just can't figure it out. Like, you just can't make a decision. So I'm gonna try and help you with my knowledge of what I've owned, and also the cameras that I would possibly like to own, or just the ones that are on my radar that I think are, like, you know, good in some capacity or whatever. So here's, we'll start off. The very first recommendation for a camera that I can make $300 to $500 range. I think the reigning champion for that amount of money is, honestly, I'm gonna have a lot of people disagree with me, but hear me out. The RX100 Mark I, the original RX100. Why would I recommend this weird, small, tiny point and shoot camera for a beginner? It's expensive, it's tiny, it doesn't look cool, it's not that professional looking, it doesn't have that many features at all. Why would I recommend it to a beginner? In that price range, I think, okay, first off, let's backtrack a little bit. Oh shit, I'm still in the dark. Sorry, I'm in the dark. Once I get out of the dark, I will continue talking about cameras. So let me backtrack a little bit and explain why I would recommend like such a weird hybrid camera to beginners in that price range. I think if you're a beginner in videography, it is 100% important that you understand every single basic principle of photography first and foremost before you even try to jump into making videos. That's my personal opinion. You can disagree. That's fine. If you're serious about making videos, like, think about it as like a long haul thing. You want to spend a couple years of your life, or, you know, like who knows how long. You just want to get into it. You shouldn't think of it as a short term, like, oh, I want to just start filming. Begin with photography, learn all the basics, understand what makes a good photograph, then make the jump, because you're going to have half of the hard work figured out for you already. You're going to understand so many things about like an editing workflow and just all the terminology involved and what makes a good composition, and it's just going to make you stand out that much more as a filmmaker. That's why I encourage you to buy a hybrid cameras that can shoot great stills and also do good video, because I just think you should do both. Why not do both? Like, the buttons are right next to each other, just like one of the... Anyways, if you're not interested in photography whatsoever, if you don't care, there's some other options. You know, you could get a GoPro. Those are still, you know, kind of relevant. Honestly, if I was looking in that segment of the camera market, like action cams, I would definitely look at the Sony action cam. It's like an FDR or something, I don't know. Sony action cam, something to consider. Better image quality. Sony sensors are 100% the best in the game. If you know your shit about cameras right now, you know they're dominating. And then, you know, there's also like the Chinese knockoff. There's one called like Xiao Yai or something. It's like $100 maybe. Qualities, you know, there's definitely the difference there. It's significant, but, you know, some aspects you get what you pay for. And if you really just want to make videos, like I said, you just want to record stuff. So if you're looking to buy a camera in like the 300 to 500 range, I would consider like the following things. Like, make sure it has a good zoom. If it's just a camcorder, like a decent zoom range, because you're definitely not going to have interchangeable lenses at that price. Make sure it can at least do 1080 60p. Codec is important. No matter what level of camera you're at, codec is important. ABC HD is bad. Try and stay away from it. XABC is good. H2.65 is good. So my best advice to get your money's worth in that like price segment of $300 to $500, pay close attention overall else if you want good image quality to the codec A, and B, the size of the sensor. You know, take into account like the G7X, the Canon PowerShot series. DSLRs, you can't forget about them yet. Mirrorless is really like taking things by storm. If you want to really just jump into filmmaking, DSLRs are for sure probably cheaper than they've ever been now because the technology is moving out, but it's still totally capable and it works fine, you know? So I've personally never used any of the Canon T series, but I know friends that can recommend them. Some people swear by them, so you know, there's that. Check those out. I know on Amazon there's like a shooter's kit or something. I'll try and link to that below. It seems pretty good to get you on your feet as far as like vlogging and just making videos go. So yeah, overall, I would recommend the RX100 Mark I first. Disregard Mark II and Mark III. They're just the same when it comes to making videos. There's just slight improvements and little things. Anyways, let's jump into the next tier. Let's just say like $500 to $1,000 is what you're looking to spend, and you want to like get your money's worth out of that, obviously. There's a couple different routes you could go. You could go for a DSLR kit, maybe buy like a T5i with a kit lens, an 18 to 55. Invest in a fisheye lens if you're trying to shoot BMX, or another specialty lens, maybe a 50mm prime if you're trying to do like weddings or something, or like whatever, you know, if you want more of an artsy look. Or if you're going for a completely different look, you actually want to create like artsy depth of field shots, you can invest in like a very cheap 85mm 1.4 or 1.8. Another thing to be considered would even be to get that Rebel video kit, add on a lens for like a depth of field effect, maybe like an 85 1.4 or even a 50 1.4, and invest the rest in batteries and media. That's one route. Between the $500 and $1,000 range, I feel like what really stands out at the top of the hill for me right now as far as modern image quality, and you're gonna hate me for this because I literally just recommended it, but it's still the RX100 Mark IV. Don't get me wrong, I really don't like that camera that much. I have one that collects dust because it's small, it's flimsy, it's very breakable. I've broken two. I don't even want to talk about it. I broke two of those things, man. Honestly, I think they're not flimsy, but they're definitely not durable. Like, it's not going to survive a drop. You can't really expect any camera to survive a drop, but I can tell you I know from experience, it won't survive a drop. But it is king of the castle when it comes to 1080p and a small camera body. Why? Because it has a 1-inch sensor, the codec is XAVC-S, and it outputs 50 megabits per second. That's pretty crucial. That's a crazy set of specs for such a tiny camera for the price. As always, I recommend buying everything used. I buy all my shit used if I can. This shit is a fucking ripoff. Like, this stuff is so overpriced. So I buy used. You can find a used one for like $750 if you really like deal hunt, maybe around like $800. But then there's a whole host of other problems that come with that camera. Like the battery only lasts like 30 minutes sometimes it's less. The 4K only shoots for like 4 minutes. I don't use 4K at all, as I've stated before, so it doesn't really matter to me. It's tiny, like that's a thing. Some people want a slightly bigger camera so it looks more legit. That's why I don't like using it, because it's just too small. Like, it's just too small. Like, it's like, but I mean, you can't beat the specs. Like, the image quality is insane. I vouch for that. The 240 frames per second is like crazy. Like, I've used it a few times and it gives me awesome results. So what you really want to do between the $500 and $1,000 range is like, find a camera body you like, whether it's something cheap like a T3i, T6i, or maybe even a Canon 60D or a 70D, something a little bit more like professional if you really want to take photography more seriously or just want a bigger, more robust body. Invest in a solid lens, like one lens you truly enjoy using, because that's what's going to define how much fun you have filming. Honestly, is the type of lens you have on the camera, because if you can nail the look you have in your head, it's just going to make filming that much more fun. Get the lens you need, get a body you want, and honestly invest the rest in batteries and media, because that stuff is really important and underrated. And like, just search for other sorted accessories that you might want or need, like grips and microphones. Camera and lens is like this much of video making. There's a whole lot of things that compose a kit, you know? So you have to like really think about what you need in your kit for whatever your budget is. It can't just be like a camera and a lens. You have to account for batteries, you have to account for media, you might need tripods, light stands, lights, reflectors, all this is just endless. You know, you never know what you might need. So what I suggest is doing your own research, think deeply, write down what you think you might need, and just put together a list and start pricing stuff out. Alright, so let's talk about the last end of the spectrum that we'll be discussing today, which is the range from $1,000 to $2,000. So in here, it's like, if you have this type of budget, you really have a lot of flexibility with what you can get. Like, when it comes to a beginner setup, there's no way I would recommend spending more than $2,000. Like, you're already kind of crazy for spending $2,000 if you're just jumping into video, but if you're really confident about the fact that this is what you want to do, I'd fully recommend it. Anyways, if you want to spend that type of money, honestly, the first thing I would do is look for a used A7S. Find the cheapest A7S you can buy that's still like solid and in good condition. Buy a 256 megabyte SD card, get a Rode video mic, go. Done. You have a killer setup to make sick videos. But what are you missing? A lens, that's right, you're missing a lens. So what are you gonna do there? If you have $2,000 to spend on a camera setup, what exactly I would do, buy a used A7S, the cheapest one I could find that's in good condition, which I would approximate to say maybe like $1,500. That's probably like even, you know, if you're not hunting for a bargain. You're trying to shoot BMX, find a used fisheye, like I said, 250 bucks maybe. Get a 64 gigabyte SD card, get some batteries, get a Rode Video Mic Go, and you're like set. You have a sick camera to like make professional quality BMX videos, like done. In this price range, you just should get an A7S. Like, it's just the camera to get. It sounds on the same principle I spoke on earlier, whereas if you do video, you should do photo. That shouldn't change regardless of your level of experience. You should always shoot photos. Maybe that's just me personally, but I'm always gonna shoot photos. I think everyone should do it because it's a good habit. Always keeps your compositional skills fresh. Reminds you how it feels to hold a camera, which, you know, if you don't do this shit for too long, if you don't make a video for a week or two, it really feels somewhat difficult to just jump back in. So I recommend shooting photos, even if it's just a hobby, to keep yourself fresh and familiar with the camera. In that price range, get an A7S, get a prime lens that you really like. But the great thing about the A7S is there's limitless options. You can get an adapter and get like a $50 Canon FD lens and it'll give you a sick look. The sensor in the A7S is so capable for its size, it will out-resolve most lenses that you can put on it. So it makes, in theory, a lot of old shitty lenses look really good. I mean, the overall theme is like, if you want a camcorder, look at the Canon HF series. If you want a Sony camcorder, check out the AX100 or the AX53. If you're gonna get a camera in the $1,000 to $2,000 range, I would recommend the A7S. That's just it. It's just the best one. Got its fair share of problems and, you know, quirks, and it's only 1080p. But it does 1080p so goddamn good. There's just no alternative, I think, to it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe I answered somebody's questions. Maybe I just completely missed. You should leave a comment and let me know what you think or what you want me to talk about next. Because we can go on and on. I mean, there's so much more in the scale of prices that I talked about that we didn't even get to touch on. You should maybe even tell me what your favorite camera setup is that you spent, you know, how much. You should maybe even include what your camera setup is and what you spent on it if you feel comfortable. If you want to leave a comment about what your camera setup is and if you like it or not, so maybe we can get a group discussion going about, like, you know, different cameras and different ranges, who likes it, who doesn't, who likes what, you know, and figure some stuff out. We're all just trying to help each other out here. Anyways, this is Camera Talk. Until next time, thank you, John Hicks Films. I'm out.